Folks, welcome into the right side of campus. I'll be your host today, Donnie Rightside, coming to you live from the city of champions, the city of Philadelphia. We'll talk a lot about football last night. It is a football Friday, NFL action on Sunday, NCAA football tonight and tomorrow. What a time to be alive. We'll break it all down here. Welcome into the right side of campus, sponsored by sportsbookreview.com. I'll be your host today, Donnie Rightside, with my partner, crime, the big man on campus. Welcome in. It is a Friday, big man. The game was delayed, ended late. Here we are talking about it again. What's good, my friend?
Doing well, Donnie. How are you, pal?
Hey, can't go any better. Look, as I get older, the nights get longer, but look, it's a lot easier to wake up in the morning with these old bones, Jeff, when you start the season out 1-0 against an NFC foe. Can't be any better, man.
Yeah, terrific. What a game. What a great ending. I went from disgusted to euphoric in seconds. It was a great game, which we'll get into. Listen, we talked about it, Donnie. It really went exactly how I think we thought it would. It came down to, the final few plays. Eagles find ways to win those games. And it was terrific. I really enjoyed them from a defensive perspective. We'll get into it.
No, it was a lot of fun last night. You're just checking in. Welcome into the show here. Give us a like, give us a retweet. And also, if you see the box just below the screen, me and the big man are talking. There is a subscribe button. If you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button. Each and every time anybody here on the channels goes live with the video, you'll get that notification. Come in, pop into the chat box, say hello. But a lot of stuff to go over today. Major League Baseball, only 4 games on the card last night, Jeff. And I think they were smart knowing that the football season was opening last night, so they sort of got out of the way. How about the rain delay last night, Jeff? The game's supposed to start around 8:20, starts a little bit after 9 o'clock, doesn't dampen the atmosphere down at Lincoln Financial Field. We'll talk a little bit about the opening last night and how football comes back, because I know, Jeff, you were all fired up, probably been waiting in line for the Shawn Mendes concert down in, I believe it was down on the Delaware, Penn's Landing area, but whoever went to that, congratulations. I wasn't much interested in that. But a muggy night here. And also, Jeff, last night, those storms broke up the mugginess a little bit, dropped from 88 to 81 after those showers, but seemed to affect the Atlanta Falcons a little bit more, cramping up with injuries.
Yeah, you usually don't see a rain delay in football very often, but when lightning's involved, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, as far as this concert, I think the only people that were there were 10 to 15-year-old girls. Look like one of those old NSYNC Justin Bieber concerts. But I'm not really sure how that's connected at all to the Eagles. I don't know. I don't know what that was all about and why they did that. But yeah, you usually don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, then have it closer to the stadium and have something a little bit more relevant to the football game. Which have a rock band, have a rapper. A pop singer for 15-year-old girls. How's that connect to football? This isn't a cheerleading competition. It's football. But yeah, overall, the rain delay sucked, but just made the Eagles fans wait a little bit longer, which, if you're a person that works the next day, obviously the game doesn't get over till 12:30. Not a good look for those people. But what are you going to do? Mother Nature called. We had to wait an hour longer, Donnie.
Yeah, the hard ones used to be, the Monday Night Football games that actually started after 9 o'clock, and they were on Monday, so you had to wake up on a Tuesday and get to work for the rest of the work week. At least you get to go through a Friday and a feel-good Friday, because it's a lot easier waking up when your squad wins than actually when it loses. So we'll get right to the headlines here tonight. And again, look, it's Philly, man. We're going to talk a little bit about this football game, how it played out, how analytics, you can sometimes just put them in the trash can because it could put you in a bad spot. But just overall, the party atmosphere in the city of Philadelphia last night, the coronation of the world champions, the starting, of the next season. And coming into the football game, you heard me and Jeff talk all along. We're not boasting or saying we nailed this game. I didn't even have a single bet on this game. But you lean on the laurels in the NFL, a team that is a damn good home football team with a stingy defense that doesn't have to cover 7.5 points. Sometimes you just want to lean on that and say, you know what, that's the better side. The Eagles all night long, outside of what, Jeff, the first maybe 8 or 9 minutes of the game before it settled in, the Eagles dominated that football game. Much better on the offensive line, much better on the defensive line, much better coaching and play calling, even though the team, Jeff, is hamstrung without your MVP quarterback out there, without your top wide receiver. And some of the keynotes that I was really looking at last night, Jeff, how nice is it to have a left tackle that was kicking the shit out of somebody, and he's coming off an ACL injury and in his mid-30s? Jason Peters, Jeff, looked like he was 25 years old and back in the Pro Bowl last night.
No, he's probably the best left tackle in the league. I mean, he's that good. I mean, he comes off the injury, looks terrific, looks exactly like his old self. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a terrific tackle. They need him. They have to have him. That's what happens when you can't have Halapuli Vati in there. It just doesn't work. You need a guy like Peters. He's terrific. The offensive line. Listen, Donnie, you win in the NFL in the trenches. Can't win those battles. You're not going to win. And the Eagles are very good on the defensive line and on the offensive line. They're going to win a lot of games. And once we get into the recap, I have some other things. But yeah, I mean, Peters is terrific. Best left tackle in the league.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later there, but it was just nice to see another reenactment of Philly in a key spot, a key third down. I believe it was a third down conversion on that, but that was a lot of fun. Second up on the deck, Jeff, Tiger Woods yesterday jumps out to a 3-shot lead and is tearing it up, but it's a tale of 12 hours. It's a tale of 24 hours. Tiger goes from a 3-shot lead, Jeff, to a 4-shot deficit. It's a pretty good tournament out there, man. The FedEx Cup coming down the stretch. Top 70 golfers in points. If you qualify, you move on next week to the top 30 golfers, and you can cash a $10 million first prize. The reason I bring it up because it is local in the air, just outside of the city of Philadelphia, and a lot of guys are going to go low here. But Tiger had a nice round yesterday, but again, you got to put 4 rounds together, up 3 to 4 back. Takes a little bit of the sting out of that first round here, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, call me on Sunday when the tournament's heating up. It's Friday morning.
Yeah, I think the reason why we had to sneak this in today, because yesterday it's hard, you're getting ready for the Eagles game. Friday, not much going on. Baseball's on. You got one, menial college football game on at night. And then Saturday, are we watching golf on Saturday, full college football? No. Are we watching golf on Sunday with the full NFL slate to open the season?
Right.
Probably not. So nice to sneak it in there. I'm sure Monday morning we'll just flip over the headlines, see who won the tournament, and see what's what. But a lot more important things going out. But I know Tiger coming out with the salmon shirt today, Jeff. Maybe she just went red all 4 days out here, see if he would have helped out. Kendricks, Jeff, in the news again. He finally, look, this it's going to take a lot of turns. But how about this for a headline? And how about this to just scare you straight? Pleads guilty, or I believe he pleaded guilty yesterday to certain charges, but can face Jeff up to 25 years in jail. I love how the justice system always hangs that, right? No matter when somebody goes to court, they always take like the lottery approach saying, well, if it all goes well, he could get 25, or goes bad, it could get 25 years. Why do they always do that? Why don't they just say, look, he's probably going to get, 14 months in the feds and he'll be out as long as he pays a fine? Why do they always go with the nuke button? He could get 25 years.
Well, because they're putting together all the charges against him, and if he were convicted of all of them, he would get 25 years. It's unlikely he'll get, all the charges against him. I don't know why they do that. I guess it's to, that would be a good question for someone that's a lawyer and a real one, not someone that pretends to be a lawyer, a real lawyer. So if you're a real lawyer, let us know. Maybe we can find that out. But that's a question even I don't know. That's a good question. He's not going to get 25 years. It's unlikely he'll even go to prison. This is obviously a white collar crime. He's a celebrity, but again, even celebrities have went to jail for insider trading. Look at Martha Stewart, Billy Walters. A lot of people went to jail. The thing is, he did plead guilty. He's not going to trial. So I'd imagine, Donnie, there's some sort of, there's no. The problem is, Donnie, there's no probation in the federal system. You either go to jail or you get off.
Anyway. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking from like a taxpayer's perspective, right? And he got 1.2 million, and you can't do that. How about if you pay the 1.2 million debt back, and then you have restitution of like $300,000 that goes towards some like kids fund in the city you live in, or a donation to charity that can really help them out? Like, does it really make sense to put, look? And again, I'm arguing from just a standpoint of, there's real crime, and then there's, white collar crime out there. If the guy has money, take his money, right? Take his money and put it to good use somewhere in some area. Because I don't know, did he really? I guess he manipulated the market. Who did he hurt in this deal? To me, he didn't hurt me. I don't know who he hurt in this one, but hey.
Well, insider trading is a long. There's a lot of people always wonder about insider trading and why exactly it's that big of a deal. But I mean, it hurts the market. I mean, there's a lot of people that play the market and they play it correctly. Michael Kendricks had insider information that companies were doing things, and it's an unfair advantage. He's cheating the system. The SEC's there to protect against people like that, and it just hurts the system for everyone else. Does it affect you, me, or anyone else? No, not really. Listen, at the end of the day, Donnie, let me ask you a question. Let's say I work for, I don't know, Goldman's, I don't know, some big company, who knows?
Yeah.
And I go to Christmas dinner and I see my father and I tell him, "Hey, Dad, listen, company's about to, get sold." I don't know. I mean, does that not
Merge.
go on?
Yeah. It's a merger
Yeah,
coming.
I
Yeah.
feel like it goes on a lot more than people think. But look,
It
he got
does.
caught, unfortunately. There's a lot of crimes out there, Donnie, that people commit that most people do and they get away with, and that one person gets caught and they got to deal with it. But I'd imagine he'll pay a big fine here, a fine that's obviously going to take away all his profits and then some. Will he go to prison? He may. I mean, I would probably say under a year. But the problem is in the feds, there's no probation, so can't
Yeah,
just
good.
give him
The
probation.
thing I love about insider trading, it's usually the rich harming the rich. So, oh, I couldn't get it. Like the common folk man is not getting insider trading. It's usually the billionaires, the chairmans of corporation who are trading off, saying, "Hey, look, I owe you a favor. Take, Anacott Steel this weekend." You know what I mean? Like, I could care less about white collar crime because they only damage each other out there. You're not even hurting the working man.
Paul T. Insider trading is legit stealing. Of course, it affects everyone. I wouldn't say it's legit
It affects
stealing.
the
Uh,
rich. Yeah.
and Paul, no, it's not, Paul. Settle down, dude. First of all, if you go rob a bank, you could injure people. You can threaten people. You can bother people as far as in their heads for the rest of their life. If what do I care if Michael Kendrick's insider trades? Doesn't affect me any. If
Yeah,
someone robs
like
a
it's
bank,
it's the whole
Donnie,
bit like Bernie Madoff. We love the Bernie Madoff trial scandal and all that, but do I feel bad to the person that had $30 million in the bank and some swindler said, "I'm going to give you like a 30% return," and you gave him $15 million and you lost it? Well, you still got 15 million left. Insider trading, Ponzi schemes, they wreck rich people because rich people always gamble and always the past 100, 200 years. It takes money to make money. Hey, you got scammed, just like the common man will get scammed on like a credit card fee or something like that. White collar crime to me goes right over my head. I don't participate in huge stock movements. I mean, 401ks are out there, sure, but I'm not getting tips where I have millions in the bank and I'm trying to cheat to get more millions. So they get banged on that too. But hey, look, it's a crime. It's on the books. He's going to end up paying for it. But rich just damage the rich in insider trading.
yeah, I mean he'll get a fine, and maybe he'd have to go to jail for this. Either way, his career is over in the NFL. So good job.
Yeah, no, it's something that people are going to trade off of and do whatever. And again, the most rich Jeff aren't smart enough to hide it anyway. How about if you have a hot tip? Why don't that same day in your brokerage account you fire off 6 or 7 different trades, knowing that you're probably going to lose half of them, but you're going to drill your ringer? They're too stupid. They'll be like, "Oh, I got a hot tip." Well, you haven't placed any moves in the stock market in 6 months. Then all of a sudden, the day before a merger, you drop $1.5 million in your account. They deserve to get their money
I
taken.
I will say though, this is yeah, you have to have oversight. Clearly, I mean, you have to have people out there that are looking over this stuff, and stupid moves like this, where like you said, I mean, your account goes from nothing to something in a few months. I mean, that's obviously going to raise some flags. But yeah, you know, insider trading is like tapping. You see an edge. I don't know about that. I mean, we we don't re-
Well, I mean, yeah,
insider
no,
trading.
because we don't know.
Insider trading
Insider
is like
trading would
fixing a
be
game.
with if Nick Foles in the
Fixing a game.
offense. You sat down with Nick Foles and he's like, "Look, we're going to hand the ball for the first 47 plays, no matter what
Yeah,
happens." You probably would lean on the under in that game.
it's fixing a game. That's exactly what it is. Insider trading is a lot worse than just capping. But yeah, he's going to be in some trouble here.
Keep it moving down the list, Jeff. Sad passing Burt Reynolds. And the reason why we don't bring this up and off topic, because, there's a little bit of a football side and a sports side to Burt Reynolds. Played at Florida State, went on to be a, very successful actor, known as Buddy to his friends, Jeff. Passed away with a lot of good movies out there. But also, you know what the key ingredient here is, which I wanted to bring up? You remember the transit? You're probably a little bit too young for this, but the transition to Florida State with their newer look uniforms. What I mean by that is where they have around the neckline where they had that little like tribal band. One of the better uniforms you're ever going to see in the history of college football, those late 80s, early 90s uniforms. Did you know that Burt Reynolds, Jeff, designed those, sent them to Florida State and told them, "Hey, look, if the uniform you like it, go ahead and wear it." I just thought these would look pretty sharp out there. Pretty interesting stuff.
No, and frankly, Donnie, I didn't even know who this was until recently. This is kind of before my time. This guy, I mean, I looked him up. He was famous in like the '70s and '80s. I don't really remember any movies he was in. I want to say he was in a movie recently, maybe, but I don't. The only thing I remember about Burt Reynolds was in Happy Gilmore. There's a part where Happy's like going to his first tournament and he sees like this limo and he looks at the limo and goes, "Huh, must be Burt Reynolds or something." And that's I assume Burt Reynolds is just like an actor or something. But yeah, someone said this last night on my one of the shows I did, and yeah, sad news. I believe he was in his 80s, 82 years old. Looked
Yeah, he
like a good
lived a good
actor. I mean,
life.
he played a lot in a lot of movies.
Yeah, married Lonnie Anderson back in the 80s, one of those, pinup type girls. I mean, he lived a good life out there, was in a lot of movies. Smoking the Bandit comes up there. One Deliverance in Kyle Hamburg was in here down in his neck of the woods on I believe it was like the Chattahoochee River or whatever it is. There had some famous scenes, if you know what I mean, in that one. But Burt Reynolds throughout the years, great guy, and it does tie in a little bit to football with Florida State, so they lost one of the good ones. How about this one, Jeff? We're talking about insider trading here. How about if your right-hand man is hacking you for $77 million? It's amazing, Jeff. The more money you have, it seems like the less oversight you have over your money, and you're trying to, expand in the condominiums out here and do all that stuff. Kevin Garnett, Jeff, suing his financial advisors because he says they stole $77 million from him.
Yeah, I saw this story this morning when you sent it over, and yeah, a weird story. Banks intentionally continuously looted Gannett of his earnings and assets for many years, including the many years that these two provided an accounting service to him. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't really know how you protect yourself against this kind of stuff, Donnie. I mean, really, I guess you try to create relationships and have them long term, but how do you really protect yourself if you're a guy like Kevin Garnett who has a ton of money? How do you really trust anybody?
Yeah.
According to the reports, they put him on an allowance, implying financial difficulty. It set budgets that the NBA's all-time leading salary earner was urged to follow. He earned 326 million in his career. Um, Garnett's also his sister was arrested for allegedly trying to rob two check cashing stores. So I don't know really how that connects here, but uh, I guess people in this family need money. And listen, you can't trust anybody, Donnie. When you have money, it's just kind of like people always ask me, where do you find good bookies? And I always say, well, you got to create
Getting
relationships, Donnie. I mean,
references out there. Yeah.
how long have you known your guy? I mean, you know
Long
your guys for
time.
a long
Yeah.
time. Um, so. I, but this Banks guy, one of the guys involved here, was um, the same guy that defrauded Tim Duncan, wasn't it, Donnie?
I don't know. I didn't read that deep into the story, but I was just reading about it. Like it's funny because when you bank that much money, and I know the old adage goes, it's true. The more money you make, you invest it correctly, you can make a lot more money in a windfall. But like, what does Kevin Garnett really need? Like, let's just say you got your $200 million contract and you're getting paid. Like, wouldn't you be like, you know what? I want to see my money grow by a couple percent. I'll throw 50 million in like high leverage or low leverage type of situation, and just like get a nice return back on it over your life. Like you get a guy like, well, hey, let's put that 80 million to work, man. We'll build condos, we'll build shopping malls, and we'll make you $1 billion. It's just really, I guess, it's just when the money keeps coming in, you just figure you're going to invest it and there's always going to be a return on the back end. But most people get greedy. It's not their money. So they're going to be shaving it off here and there, wherever they can, pocketing as much as they can. And then all of a sudden the well runs dry. Like, hey, you took a risk in investments, Kev. We told you it was possible.
Hey, Donnie, that's a good point. I mean, he made 325 million in his career. It's only 77 million. Who cares if they stole it?
That's taxable money though, right? So if you lose 77 million, what'd you really lose? Like 140 million? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, listen, Kevin Garnett, you gotta. I mean, I'm not much sure why you're still dealing with the same guy that
Yeah.
defrauded your boy Tim Duncan.
No, some people make good moves, like 50 Cent, Vitamin Water out there. The Body Armor, those companies get beat up. Kobe looks like he's a pretty damn good investor at this point from the money he's making. Some people I just get wired in with the right people. That's why I like Jeff. If you're like an athlete, right? you're going to go with these financial advisors. If I'm an athlete, if I'm in the NBA, you know what I do, Jeff? I get on maybe one of those Wheels Up or Net Jets, and I set out to California. And I pull up to LAX, I take a limo over, and I knock on this guy's door, and he opens it up. And I'm like, Magic Johnson, can I have like 5 minutes with you, man, just to pick your brain on what we should do out here? Like, if you go with Magic Johnson, you know he's setting you up with the right people and the right investments. Every move that Magic Johnson has made has been an absolute gold mine. Instead, you're going to
Donnie,
rely on some guy trying to do something else, right?
Donnie, here's what you have to do to avoid shit like this. You have to have interest in your money, in your finances. You don't just go and give money to a guy and walk away and say, "Hey, I'll be back at tax season." No, you have to get all those guys that you named, Kobe and all those different guys. They know what's going on with their money. They know where it is. They know where it's accounted for. Kevin Garnett probably handed this guy his money and said, "All right, take care of it for me, thanks." Um, no, I'm sure this guy
Like,
didn't just
you know what it
steal
reminds me,
money.
Jeff? Like, like Rocky Four, where Rocky went to Russia and he came back and Paulie signed the power of attorney over and they had no money left.
Right.
Like something like that. Like, dude, be in control of your finances, man.
Yeah, you got to be in control of this stuff.
Mhm.
Donnie, I wanted to throw one piece of news in here. Came down this morning, and I wanted to talk about this yesterday. I spoke to someone over at Tropicana the other night, and I asked him about sports betting. Uh, Today, the article was put out. Tropicana will be the next casino, Donnie, to offer sports betting, which Tropicana
Yeah.
always will be near and dear to my heart. I've been going there since I was 17. They announced Thursday that it reached a deal with William Hill. That's to be their sports betting future. I did talk to someone, Donnie. They're building a room supposedly at Tropicana that is going to,
Mhm.
according to this guy that works for the casino, it will rival the best in the city. That's what he told me.
Mhm.
It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. They're going to have all sorts of areas for it. So Tropicana, my old stopping grounds, will be next in the casino sports betting
Very
industry.
interesting here, Jeff. Yes. Last bit of news there, Vlad Jr. The reason why Vlad Jr. and the crew is upset, and they have every right to be upset, because the archaic rules of Major League Baseball on service time creep up. Jeff, it's the only sport on the planet, anywhere, anytime, where your better players are specifically held back more than the worst players in your organization because you want to control them over the next few years and maybe steal an extra year of free agency. Vlad Jr., the best player in the organization for the Toronto Blue Jays, not getting a call up, Jeff, not even in September. They want to steal a couple extra years out of this guy so they don't have to pay him. Amazing, amazing stuff, Jeff. Can you imagine any other sport that tells their best players you can't play?
Yeah, and the MLBPA is not happy about it, and I wouldn't be either.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell are you letting this guy wither away down at the fucking New Hampshire Fisher Cats when you could bring him up, you can get some tickets sold, you can impress some people, he can hit a few home runs, you can get him ready for next season. You're right, pathetic. You know, this is what baseball teams do, though. They sit on these fucking players and waste time and let them. What if Vlad Guerrero goes down tonight and injures himself playing for the Fisher Cats? I mean, again, it could happen at a bigger league as well, so it's kind of a dumb connection. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Bring him up at least for the last month. Let us see him a little bit. And they're right; it is bad for the industry.
Yeah, imagine like Baker Mayfield. Like you don't let Baker Mayfield play for 2 full years, even though he's the number one pick, because you might save a year on the back end where you don't have to pay him. It's just absolutely ludicrous stuff in baseball that they allow going on, Jeff. But we will slide it down and get into some of the nitty gritty, Jeff, with the Eagles and the Falcons recap last night. First game of the season kicks off. Big one, because it does have some NFC ramifications down the line. The winner of this game is going to have a leg up come late in the season, because factoring in coming in, Jeff, both these teams, I think we both agreed upon, are probably going to make the playoffs. Now the Philadelphia Eagles essentially a game and a half up on the Atlanta Falcons with the tiebreaker. Monster game last night. Rain delayed, sloppy first half, Jeff. But you're right. Talked about it a little bit earlier. I think we expected this to come in. We didn't expect Nick Foles to run up and down the field. Didn't expect Atlanta to run up and down the field on that Eagles front line, and they didn't do that. A couple key ingredients early. Looked like the Falcons were going to punch a 7 spot on the board. Eagles come up, Jeff, with a key fourth down stop, which I completely disagreed with at that moment. You're on the road in the road team's environment. You want to get the first points on the board. Made no sense whatsoever for me, Jeff, for the Atlanta Falcons to go for it on fourth down there to start the game.
The reason this is such a huge win for the Eagles and why I was so and I think we were all so happy about it, was just how they did it, who they did it without. I mean, you got to remember, you're still dealing with no Nigel Bradham, no Alshon Jeffrey, Carson Wentz is injured, Nick Foles is struggled, but they found a way to get the job done, and the defense stood up time and time again. And you talk about the first series of the game, the stop on fourth down. I mean, I believe you had a penalty in that series that kind of set you up first and goal. You just, I mean, Atlanta is horrendous in the red zone, and I referenced that, Donnie, last year. They can't
Mhm.
score in the red zone. They didn't do it last year, and it looks like they're going to have another problem this year. Steve Sarkisian is a bad coordinator. He has no idea what he's doing down in the red zone. He's really just throwing darts and hoping they stick. He's hoping to hit the promised land with something, and it hasn't worked. The red zone stuff was awful. They were 1 for 5. They just couldn't get it done. Defensively, the Eagles are terrific. And barring a couple bad penalties, it could have been even easier. They extended a few drives on all sides, i.e., Derek Barnett. If Rodney McLeod knew how to catch a football, they could have had a couple interceptions as well. That's one thing that annoyed me last night. There were two things that annoyed me: McLeod's inability to catch anything, but he is a safety, so I guess you give him a pass. Zach Ertz was horrendous last night. He was hard to watch. The tight ends are hard to watch, really. I mean, Goddard wasn't any better. Goddard looks too brittle. I mean, he's got to hit the weight room and toughen up a little bit. He's a big kid, but you got to try to find a way to hold on to the football. I know he got hit hard, but you can't pop the ball up in the air. That's rookie stuff. I thought the rookies were obviously rookies last night. You saw some rookies that Sidney Jones made a couple boneheaded plays. I thought, the tight ends were poor, but the run game was pretty good. They stuck with it. The play calling in the second half was, I thought, great. I thought terrific play calling, a huge win. Because now, Donnie, you look at the next few games: Tampa, then Indianapolis. I'm not in the mindset of, I don't want to see Carson Wentz until week 4 or 5, in my opinion. Let the guy heal up. Let's make sure he's healthy. I'm not saying you don't need him in these games, but I think you can find ways to win without Carson Wentz, at least against Indianapolis and Tampa.
No, you're right, and it was a key because there's no panic. But I don't think the Eagles were gonna collapse the public pressure anyway if they lost last night and didn't have it. The one thing that I actually wanted to see last night, I wasn't even worried about Nick Foles. There's a couple key spots you wanted because we talked about it, Jeff, all preseason long. Preseason doesn't matter; it really doesn't. When you actually get your starters in there, Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, Darren Sproles, you saw how effective and how good they are. You knew you were going to be shorthanded at wide receiver like you were supposed to be. No Alshon Jeffrey out there, your lead dog, to take some of the coverage or roll the coverage away against a pretty good secondary from Atlanta. You saw them struggle to get downfield last night. You knew the offense would struggle, but the one thing I did like was the offensive line for the Eagles was very good. And the one thing we banked upon was the Atlanta Falcons are built on speed on defense. They're a dome football team. They're going to come off the edge with speed. When you get them on grass outdoors, you put your offensive line with the Eagles have the best offensive line in football, and you just start smashing them. You saw it in the second half. Atlanta completely wore down. The more times the Eagles handed off, the more yards they were gaining out there, the less pressure that they were getting on Nick Foles. So a lot of stuff played out exactly. I wanted to see how well Jason Peters would play. He was absolutely phenomenal. Darren Sproles looks like he's a 19-year-old kid running around. I can't even fathom it, coming off a torn ACL and 35 years old, the second oldest running back in the NFL. He looks great. I just wanted the Eagles to lean on their defense. The front seven that we've been preaching, which again was without Nigel Bradham last night. Jordan Hicks was great. The front four consistently got pressure when you needed it, especially on that last drive. Even though there was some conversions, 3rd and 7, even the 3rd and 17, I was pulling my hair out because Julio Jones is wide open every single play. It seems like that's how good he is. But I thought what I wanted to see out of that game, Jeff, even if they lost that game, I wanted to make sure the defense was going to be okay because once the Eagles get Carson Wentz back and Alshon Jeffrey back, they're going to lights out this NFL, man. They're going to be really good.
Yeah, I think you're right. I thought Ronald Darby was terrific last night. Ronald Darby's turned into a very good corner in this league. I'm still not a big Jalen Mills guy. I don't know. He misses too many tackles. I'm just not. I think he's the weak link, and I'd like to see Sidney Jones find a way to beat him out there. I thought the safeties were fine. I thought everyone was good. They're just, you got to clean up the penalties. Nate Jerry had some bad penalties. Shelton Gibson had bad penalties. What the hell was Trey Sullivan doing on that punt? What the hell was that all about? I mean, you cannot be around the football when that happens. I don't care if you're pushed in. Get the hell out of the way. That really could have hurt them, and that could have cost them the football game. There's two little things, that and then the Derek Barnett offsides to negate a sack.
Mm.
You can't be doing that kind of stuff in the NFL. You just can't do it. But Eagles found a way anyway. A terrific win, a big win, an NFC win against a good opponent. And by the way, shame on you, Seth Joyner, Eagles legend who I love. Donnie, you love him too. I mean, Seth
Yeah,
Joyner,
sure, of
for anyone
course.
that's not aware, he's a national guy, but he still does Eagles post-game and pre-game live. He's
Hmm.
one of our favorites. I enjoy Seth Joyner, but Seth Joyner picks the Falcons 31-14. Come on, dude. I get you want to pick the Falcons, but 31-14. Come on, man.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Also, talking about some things that happened last night, the catch rule. Like, look, if I could go back in a time machine, Jeff, I would go back to last year and keep the catch rules exactly the same. The one thing we knew exactly what a catch and what a catch was not. And here we go, Jeff, on display opening night. They have no idea what a catch or what a non catch is. Do I agree with the first call to Doug Peterson to challenge like a 3 or 4 yard play? I don't. But it was clear as day that's not a catch, and they go under the hood and say it was a catch, which was astounding. Then you fast forward it to the second half, which if the NFL is going to do this, I'm really going. I might have to march, Jeff. I might have to bring a couple of the guys from the right side of campus, the crew up to New York City. If they're going to show an entire series or two from behind the quarterback where you have no depth perception, the Julio Jones play took place when they were using that ridiculous trash ass angle on TV where nobody could see the football. Nobody could even see if it was a catch at first. Slides out of bounds, which theoretically you could say he did have control of that, and they still said he didn't. So we're going to go through an entire year once again in the biggest the biggest sporting events of the season, and we have no idea, Jeff, what a catch is, and it's not on the books. Last year, I would go 99% on what a catch and what a catch wasn't. This year, it's going to be 50-50 at best. Nobody knows what the hell a catch is anymore.
Well, it helped us, so I'll take it. But you're right. No one does.
And then last but not least on that too, Jeff, no helmet penalties last night. Look, there's a lot of helmet contact going on last night in that game, a hard-hitting game, and there were no penalties called. So we went from week 2, a full-blown panic, to the NFL, all but maybe behind closed doors, Jeff, scrapping that penalty, unless it's in another egregious one where a wide receiver is coming over the middle and you just clock him with your forehead right in his jaw. But no penalties last night. Yeah, that's amazing. In a league this big, this strong, and this popular, nobody knows what the rules are. It's kind of dumbfounding.
Well, there should have been one helmet penalty. Zach Ertz was hit hard. He was led by the helmet. Should have been a penalty. But listen, Donnie,
It wasn't a helmet shot, though. I agree, though, because the forearm clocked him in the head, but he didn't get hit helmet to helmet on that play, as the rule would say.
listen, 26 penalties. There are more penalties than first downs by either team. There were almost more penalties than points scored. Listen, Donnie, I don't know how. I'm not sure how you can ever sell to me that. Look, other than being a fan last night or having money in that game, I'm not sure how you watch that and it's enjoyable. I don't see it, and that's the issue with this league. And if any game like that's on Sunday, I won't watch it and have no interest in it. It was brutal, and the problem is that happens more than normal. There's always like that. Too many
Well, but yeah,
penalties.
you're going to get
But
that. You're going to get that week 1 too. It's going to be the same thing on Sunday because
no,
again,
it's
these
like
guys
that
don't
all
play.
year. It's
No,
like
it's
that
not
all
like
year,
that all
Donnie.
year.
Stop trying to defend the NFL. The league
Every
sucks.
sport's the same, though. I mean, look at the college football. I mean, 90% of college football games are wretched blowouts. In the NBA, 90% of the NBA games, half the teams don't even care at that point. Every league has these problems and goes through it, but the NBA, the NHL, and other sports out there, they at least let their players play. Like a preseason in the NBA, what do they play? Like 12 or 13 games, and the starters actually get real playing time? In the NFL, they're so scared about injuries that they line up game 1 with like 10 snaps under their belt, or like amazingness, like Jason Peters, Darren Sproles. They don't even take a hit in the preseason or even get in the game and show up when the live bullets are going out there. The NFL is just a weird product that way.
No, it's a bad league. That's what the problem is, Donnie. Wake up. It's a bad league. Officiating's not good. There's too many penalties. There's too many stupid rules. There's too much bad play. It's not a good league, Donnie. I mean, I know you love it, and I know I respect you for it. You're an NFL guy, and you're trying to keep it. You know, I get it, but it's not a league that's fun to watch anymore. Sorry, I don't see it. There's occasionally great games, but I mean, count on one hand. I don't know if I can remember any games last year in the regular season that were any good. Sometimes you
I
remember those
mean,
things.
they're out there, but
Okay, look, Donnie. Like I said, I respect you for loving the NFL the way you do. I just don't see it personally. But um, uh, one other thing, Donnie. Here, a couple of commenters, then we'll get into the rest of the show. Um, and for everyone will continue to watch the NFL, of course, everyone will watch the NFL, and it's not going to go down. I'm just saying I think from a standpoint of a league, I think it's losing some steam as a league. A lot of this stuff, off the field's hurting it as well. Um, Derek Miller cracking me for Kennesaw State. First of all, someone asked me about it. I just gave a lean. You bet it. That's your problem. I didn't tell you to bet on it. It's your thing. Um, Dottie, is European soccer more interesting than the NFL?
no, no. I saw a game on yesterday that was like 0-0 between France and I think Germany. So that probably is the
Yeah.
worst product.
Yeah, Derek, it's not an opinion if you're lying, Derek. Your opinions are stupid today. Sorry. Uh, kind of with Jeff on this one. Some people agreeing with Donnie. Listen, I respect though Donnie for his love. He loves the
I
NFL.
love the
It's his
NFL. I
thing.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But you would agree the NFL is definitely down from where it used to be, right?
No, but yeah, and we all worry about it because you're right. Because a lot of the elements that you like if you're a hockey fan, they just said one day, like, "Hey, we're just going to take fighting out and you're just going to deal with it." When you take a lot of is it like, could you take the crashes out of NASCAR? I don't know because you're taking high end collisions out of the NFL. Which, if you remember, back in the '90s and the '80s, they would every time you would turn on the TV in the middle of an NFL game, they would sell you NFL Rocks. Get the new video, NFL's hardest hits, and they would literally show people's head fly off and they
Right.
profit on it. What a 180 from what they used to be. Now, you can't have a barbaric league like that. And I'm all about player safety, but there's a time where it just goes overboard because especially with player preparation, Jeff, in the offseason, you like to build calluses. You know what I mean? They used to play 6 preseason games and hit twice a day in the NFL in preseason. They don't do that anymore and just have to understand and accept it. The one thing that you hope is that quarterback play continues to elevate itself because when you have good quarterbacks, you're going to have a good league. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi. I think it's got something to do with the Skype. I'm correctly plugged right into my computer. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, Donnie, I will say this last thing I'll say on the NFL. Other than the Eagles game, if you said to me you can watch Real Madrid Barcelona in a Champions League game against the NFL, I'd prefer the Champions League game at this point. But that's just me. But hey, we all have our things, right?
Yeah, no, I love. Like, I mean, that's the highest level, though. You're talking about, like, I mean, last year's Super Bowl. I mean, even though I'm going to be a little bit, jaded because the Eagles won that, and I'll lean towards that way. But that was an unbelievable Super Bowl, man. Had you hanging on the end of your seat. High level teams playing each other. It's usually fun mid-season. So, or like Barcelona. I guess we lost the big man on campus. But yeah, look, that's a pretty good comment out there saying looks like he was filming from a potato out there. So we'll keep going with the stuff out here, and we'll get through it. Let's continue to talk about the NFL since Big Man on Campus isn't here anymore. We'll sort of poke the bear a little bit and get back into it. But some interesting stuff last night. I know a lot of you guys were looking back and forth on which way you wanted to take the game. If you saw the Borgata put out some tweets yesterday, that is a New Jersey casino. I believe Will Hill manages the Borgata out there. Let me just see if I'm still actually live on this. And this is there we go, still live. I'm still here. Look, I'm still here. I'm going to fight through this internet malaise out here. I know down in Costa Rica we lost a couple things down there with the TriCaster having the ingredients, but I still have the stuff behind the scenes that we can kick off and go on that. But I did want to talk a little bit about like the catch rule and like with the new fumble rule with Dave. There was also an interesting play. I believe it was in the third quarter, maybe the start of the fourth quarter, where a ball was caught by Mohamed Sanu, which looks like it wasn't a catch, but Doug Peterson didn't challenge that on the 3rd and 5. That was the play where the Eagles and Derek Barnett were offsides but got a sack and were able to convert on that, which allowed the drive for the Atlanta Falcons to continue. And only a couple plays later, the Eagles, I believe, intercepted Matt Ryan on that one. But I'm a staunch believer. Like, I like to see what I like to see out there. And I like to see and know the rules, what they're clear. And especially from a head football coach, and we're gamblers out here. So the last thing you want to feel is cheated on a play. Or do you remember a couple years ago with the replacement refs out there where they're making just nonsensical calls out there? They can't keep up with the speed of the game. And even the play between Green Bay and Seattle up in Seattle that ended on the Fail Mary, which they totally botched that call. Those are the things that upset me as a gambler because look, there's a lot of human element that goes into betting football games. We get that. Coaches are going to make stupid plays at the worst decisions and, not make the right calls. But the one thing that you want to factor on is like you want to know what the rules are. You want to know what the penalties are. Because even last night, take a look. Like, let's just say most people out there, right? Most people probably had throughout the week, Atlanta getting 1.5, Atlanta getting 1, maybe even a pick 'em. If you had Atlanta -1, I don't really know what you were actually going out there and doing at that point. But take a look at the last play of the game, right? It's what is it, fourth down from the 10-yard line. A pass that goes out of bounds where the tight end runs up the middle and runs into Jordan Hicks, and he doesn't even move him off his line. It's almost like he runs into him, and he just has his hands up and braces and goes, and the ball flies into almost the first row of seats. And that play is called a penalty, which could change the dynamics of seasons, coaches keeping their jobs, billions of dollars bet on the football game. Because if they punch that in to end the game and win, a lot of money changes hands. I don't mind the egregious call in that spot. I'm more of a guy in the NFL that says let him play a little bit. There was also a play a little bit early in the quarter where before the Eagles punched in with Jay Ajayi, if you remember, Foles went deep to Mike Wallace, and it was a great play down there. They got a little bit tangled up, but he made a fantastic play. Also in the first half of Mike Wallace deep ball, where they sort of got in there and jockeyed and held his arm down a little bit. I'm an Eagle fan. Like, do I want the flag? Sure, but that wasn't a flag. I just get upset when I bet NFL games or even college football games or any sport out there that's going to come in and dip in with some ridiculous rules that we don't really know actually what they are. Now, also, take a look last night with some of the changes, because every year they do make adjustments to the telecast. I thought what was ridiculously bad was when they show the Madden view from behind the quarterback, where you have no depth perception. You can't see the wide receivers out on the edge. And the play was one of the biggest plays in the football game that we didn't even get a good look at. The Julio Jones double move on Jalen Mills on the outside, which Matt Ryan actually threw a great pass. Julio Jones went and tracked it down, and it was a 50-50 ball, whether or not you can actually catch or not catch it. Was it a catch? They called it. Now, since they called it not a catch, I didn't think they had enough to actually overturn it. But that catch to me was more of a catch than the one in the first quarter that the Eagles actually challenged. And thank you for live TV that we completely missed the play out there because you're messing around with some millennials who play Madden out there and not get an actual widescreen view of the play. But the one part of the telecast, folks, that I thought was fantastic was the first down marker where they shade the green. If it's 3rd and 7, you'll see the dark green from the line of scrimmage to the actual yellow line for the first down. Or if it's 3rd and 15, they shade the 15 yards green. I thought it was fantastic. Sometimes they do a little bit too much, in NFL telecasts and do that stuff. But I thought that was absolutely phenomenal there. Big man, looks like we're back up. Did you call Comcast, get that high-speed internet back?
It's got nothing to do with high-speed internet. We use Skype every day to create a show. I don't know why we're doing that.
Big man, again, looks like he's coming from the potato room out there, Jeff. Can we do it? Can we make it happen?
I'm not coming from anything. It's not me. There's nothing wrong with me, what I'm doing. The fucking thing's plugged in the computer, bro. It ain't me. There's nothing I'm doing here. I don't know what's going on.
Over, Jeff, the telecast there for football. It had the added, they were showing the Madden view. Remember the Julio Jones play, the biggest play of the game, arguably, outside of the last 4th down play with no time on the clock? Like, did he catch it? Did he not catch it? Can we get rid of that view? Can we absolutely get rid of that view where you can't see anything on the football field, but they somehow think it was a big deal? Was there one game last year, Jeff, if I remember correctly, where they actually did an entire game basically from that vantage point, I believe, and it was horrific?
Yeah, that Sky View thing or whatever they call it. Sky Pass or something. I don't know. I forget what they call it. But, yeah, I don't know why they do that. Can you hear me, by the way?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, the little shaded area thing also very stupid. Why are we?
I love it. I love it.
What's wrong with
perception?
What's wrong with the yellow line, bro?
It enhances the view of it. Like, exactly the yardage. Like, usually when you put the yellow line out there, and let's just say you're not looking at the 3rd and 7, like, you have to actually physically take a look and be like, all right, we have to get to the 35. All right, looks like it's 7. That shaded dark area now, as soon as it comes up, you know exactly what the deal is. Look where they actually have to go and cover. I love it. I thought it was brilliant.
Another waste of money from the NFL.
I don't think the NFL's paying any money for it.
Whatever, whoever. Someone's wasted money on it.
No, but we were just wrapping up last night on the game last night, just going over the new rule changes and going over. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out on Sunday. But also, Jeff, just to leave one last note. Look, we're Eagles fans. We're gamblers.
Jesus Christ, what are we going to talk about this game for an hour?
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to talk about? Some other bum soccer league or something like that doesn't exist? We're talking football.
No,
How about the last play of the game if you had money on it there, Jeff? Where you had Atlanta +1 or -1.5 or +2 at that, and you get that shady foul out there on that pass interference or illegal contact, not even a pass interference. I was losing my freaking mind last night. Goodness gracious.
All right, let's move on. Can we move on finally?
Yeah, TCU, Jeff, SMU, only day, spotlight, Super Bowl tonight in college football. What are we looking at from a perspective, Jeff? Let me just tee it up for you on a side advantage here. 301-302, 81%. They're climbing on board tonight, TCU, Jeff, like they were climbing on Atlanta. The Sharps were lining up in the Borgata. Yeah. 100,000 here, 50,000 here. One guy even pacing the floor with a briefcase with 50 grand saying, I'm going to wait for the line move here. They all lost their money. Now,
dude,
TCU tonight, Jeff, opened up at 21.5, now sitting at 23. Go ahead, Jeff.
Dude, I've been at that sportsbook many times. I know you have as well. I don't know. Yeah. First of all, if someone's betting 50K in there, I'd like to see who they are. Because I've never seen anyone that looks like they're betting any sort of money in that place. I didn't even know they accepted bets that big. When I heard that, I couldn't.
Why they're usually not cash though. They're usually wired in. Like you already have to have an account with them. Like I'm a big football bettor. I'm going to put 200 grand in an account. Yeah, you're not coming up to the booth with the little telltale because I'm going to put down 100 grand on this game. Yeah. No.
I hear you. I'm just saying, like, it seems like everyone in there is just literally on their last race that they're betting. Like they have like literally nothing to lose. Either they're really drunk.
Come on. Yeah. Yep.
Come on, you motherfucker. Come on.
You see that? Who put that one? Was it from Monmouth? Who was the one dude in the North Jersey jacket that just screams at the TV? That's what it seems like at the Borgata. You're right, though.
That Krakenberger posted that fucking guy at I think it was at Meadowlands somewhere, but yeah. No, that's what you haven't forgot. It's all those people. It's all these guys that are like everyone's at least 80 years old. Most of them are speaking like Italian or like some like language, and that's why you love Atlantic City, Donnie, too. Because like the other night, I'm playing poker. Literally every person at my table is Russian. They're all speaking Russian to each other. It's there's literally like Atlantic City's a wild place, man, a wild place. But yeah, this game is interesting, Donnie. I mean, big rivalry game in that city of Dallas, TCU, SMU. TCU's owned this series, really kind of controlling it over the last number of years. You're right, whole world on TCU, but here's the problem. You got a sandwich game here. You got Ohio State next week. You look at this game. For you, does it lose a lot of luster if you're TCU? Hey, we get out of here with the 16, 17-point win. Let's move on. I mean, is SMU this bad? I mean, last week they looked pretty bad. That game against North Texas was not indicative of the final score. TCU or SMU really struggled. I only think they had 46 plays. They had struggles moving the football. They can't stop anybody. I'm telling you right now, Sean Robinson, the quarterback at TCU, really good football player, and he's a lot like Trevon Boykin, Donnie, if you remember. This team runs a hyper speed offense. They go very quick. They're going to look to put a lot of points on the board against a bad defense. Question is, can SMU kind of hang around in the fourth quarter? Can they put points up late? I'm banking on them putting some points up late and covering this number. I would wait, though. I feel like you're going to keep getting money coming in on TCU. Weather looks to be okay. I think a lot of people were a bit concerned about the weather in this game. But it's really a lot like last night's Eagle game. It's hot. There could be some scattered thunderstorms possibly, but it's not going to be something of a washout or anything. Wind is fine. You look at precipitation in this game during this game. You might see a little rain. I don't think it's anything to really worry about here. This is an interesting game. It's hard to, though, say I like a side. It's really difficult. I feel like SMU finds a way to backdoor this one, though. I think it's like 45-28, something like, or 45-30, something like that.
Yeah, it is a Texas rivalry here that we're going to look at. But the one interesting thing that I know a lot of people look at is, they're college kids still. And you look at it a little bit different from the pro game, but there are look ahead games because their circle the calendar game of the year for them is probably next week versus Ohio State. The only question I have is, let's just say, TCU puts out a strong first half. They get up, two, maybe three touchdowns. Are they bailing out in like the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, get their boys out of there because they know that 10 bell game is on deck for the next weekend?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point by you, and it could be that way. You got a big game next week, and that's the problem with some of these games. I know they want this game, they want to win this game, but do they really care about covering this game? Dewey G 70% on the over and has dropped from 64 to 59. Yeah, I mean that's how Navy Hawaii was too. How that ended up working out. Listen, I think we're all well aware at this point. Like this sharp move crap, like who cares? I mean, we've talked about it before. I talked about it in college basketball, Donnie. I mean, cap the game the way you want. Don't worry about anything else. I mean, big line moves, sure. Take certain games you take a look at, but um, as far as that's concerned, I don't really put a lot of stock anymore into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, overall, just looking at some weather conditions, if we're looking here, a little breezy, but 10, 5 miles an hour really isn't much. If we're looking at temperature around game time, Jeff, 85 degrees, 87 at 10 p.m., which is normal down there for Texas, but it looks like rain in the forecast for mid-afternoon, 4 o'clock it clears up, and looks like it doesn't pick up again till well into the night. So I don't think there's going to be really any actual weather conditions. It's just play conditions because is SMU going to come out? Because I think last week, looking at just some of the play charts, North Texas ran like 70, 80, or like one of the higher play numbers of the week against SMU. And SMU only got off 47 plays last week. I didn't watch the game at all, but I assume SMU is still running a wide open set offense. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are. And look, they're going to put. Yeah, I think if you're banking on SMU in this game, you're hoping for late in the game. This is a blowout. You figure if SMU could put up 20 points, I feel like they're going to have a shot at covering the number. I mean, if they could put up, I think the goal for SMU has to be if you could put up 24 points, I think you get a cover here. If you can't put up 24 points, it's safe to say TCU will probably put up, Donnie. What do we think? 45, 50 points in this game. I mean, SMU can't stop anybody, and they go fast where, their defense is going to be in the field. They're going to be tired. And TCU is running this fast offense as well. They're going quick. So, you have to, if you're an SMU backer, you're going to need, I think, you're going to need 24 points, I think, to cover this game.
Yeah, well, it'll be an interesting one there. We'll line up. I know we're running short on time here. Just one more quick one to take a look at, Jeff, over the weekend. Fresno State, Minnesota is an interesting one. About a 50-50 ticket split here. Opened up at 2.5, 2, now down to about 1.5. So some respect coming for Fresno State, and I think respect deserved. Can Minnesota, young quarterback still, feel their way through this game? Is Fresno a live dog in this one coming into town? Because Minnesota's not getting a lot of respect here with that line.
Yeah, I think Fresno's a live dog. I think Fresno's always a live dog getting points. I still wonder about Minnesota's quarterback position. He's a young player. They've never over the last few years really struggled to get any sort of consistency at quarterback. But Anextad's played decent. You got to hope that it only continues and he can continue to be a solid player. I don't know. This is a tough game because I like both defenses. I like Minnesota's defense with Antoine Whitfield back in the secondary there. Um, it's a tough game. I think it's a kind of close to a pick 'em for a reason. It's a game that I didn't look into a ton. I haven't really got to cap yet, but from a standpoint of just thinking about it, um, I still like Minnesota's defense, and that's one thing that always keeps me off of it. They're a very good defensive team. They're at home in this game. I kind of lean with Minnesota here just because they're a Big Ten team. I think defensively they're very good. I like Rodney Smith, and the next stats played pretty well. You kind of always look at Minnesota and think, well, bad quarterback play, but this kid started to kind of demonstrate some poise and did a decent job. So I kind of lean Minnesota. I like Rodney Smith a lot, Donnie. I think he's a great running back.
Yeah, some interesting stuff coming up. We'll touch on the NFL real quick here. Packers, Bears, Cowboys, Panthers, Giants, Jags, some good names. And then look, Sunday Night Football is going to be a good one, rivalry-wise, that is, at least. You're going to get a look at Aaron Rodgers at home. How many snaps Khalil Mack going to play? And that line looks like it's dipping a little bit, 7.5. Now you can even find sevens out there. Bet online -7, -119. So a little bit of juice on that one, but you can find numbers that are dipping around that 7 level. Looks like a little bit of heat coming here for the Chargers. Jeff originally opened up at 3, now seeing 3.5 primarily across the board. So some good stuff to look forward to. 1 o'clock game. I can't wait to watch, Jeff. Jacksonville and the New York Giants. A lot of still some moving parts before we get to Sunday. Who's in, who's out, how they're going to play. But if it's any indication of what we saw last night, you are going to get some sloppy football on Sunday. And I don't think we can disagree on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you Jags Giants, you get a great kind of matchup between Ramsey and Odell Beckham Jr. That's a tough game, but all of a sudden you have two teams that people are high on. People like the Giants. I still wonder about their offensive line. I'll be real with you. There's a reason Nate Solder was let go. There's a reason you look at that left side of the line, the right side of the line with Eric Flowers and guys like that. I don't necessarily trust that offensive line. I again will say it. You win in the trenches in this league, and I wonder about the trenches for the Giants. I don't like their defensive line. They don't have a great pass rusher, really, to me, and the offensive line has issues. Watch yourself with the Giants. I think the Jags just kind of overpower them, get the job done here. That number's at 3 plus oh 05. I think that's a decent number there. I know it's laying points on the road, but I wonder about the trenches. I think the Giants will struggle with that sort of thing. They have a lot of the pieces, but if you don't have time to throw the football and you can't get the run game going, it's going to be a long day. A couple other ones I have my eye on, Donnie. I like the Dolphins getting a point at home against the Titans. This is a stone cold Dolphin line. When you're looking at the NFL, these are the exact games that hurt public bettors. Public bettors can't, Donnie, bring themselves to bet on teams like the Dolphins in a spot like this. People like Tennessee. They like Mariota. They like the flashiness. They like the defense for the Titans. But at the end of the day, Dolphins are a pretty good football team. They're a team I think that can hang around. There's a reason this number's where it is. It hasn't moved an inch. It won't move an inch. The Dolphins are the play in this game to me, and they're the play for a lot of reasons. This is what an NFL bettor looks for if you're trying to win. You cannot consistently bet these kind of games and expect a different outcome. I like the Denver Broncos at home against the Seahawks. That's just an auto play for me. Denver at home, laying this kind of number. I don't like the Seahawks traveling. I think the Broncos are a bet on team this year with that defense and some of the moves they made. And we talked about it on the roundtable. I like Carolina as well against the Dallas Cowboys. I just think Dallas is down this year. You're getting a lot of. I'm taking a lot of home teams here, Donnie. Like the
Yeah,
home
you know
team.
what's interesting. Yeah, you know what's interesting too, because when you look at the Giants, you lose JPP, right? And again, I'm not the biggest JPP guy, but he can, affect the line of scrimmage. He's very athletic and can get to the pass and can sack the quarterback, but cause disruption. It was always nice to have him on the opposite side with Olivier Vernon. Now you lose JPP, Jeff. Now Olivier Vernon with that little ankle injury. I saw even somebody clear up in the chat box, which is a good point by Alex Wander. If he's out for this football game, I mean, Bortles going to have some time to throw out there because you take the two top pass rushers off the team from last year and now get after it again. And if anything you wanted to take out of last night, Jeff, when you have the dominant D line going against an inefficient offensive line like the New York Giants technically have on paper, they're going to have to prove that they're a good offensive line. It's not a great matchup because when you can send 4 guys and wreck the other team up front and you say, oh, you're going to cover up for a bad secondary. But they're 2 better cornerbacks than the Jacksonville Jaguars have. So it's not a good recipe for the New York Giants if Olivier Vernon is out.
Yeah, listen, Donnie, you win the game in the trenches. You have to find a way to do that. And I just don't think the Giants can do that in certain games, especially against probably, if not the best defensive line in the league. I mean, Eagles and Jags, take your pick. I think it's going to be difficult. And you make some points there with the injuries as well. Donnie, and one other one before we go here. 457, 458. You have a wide group of people on the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm seeing 85% on the side here. Yet this line has went the opposite way. Colts up to 2.5 now. I'm seeing 3 at a certain Vegas books. I mean, this is another stone cold Colt line. You got a home team here who no one wants to back. People aren't interested in. The truth of the matter, though, is Andrew Luck is back, and that makes the Colts a better football team. We all know that. You have a big public sharp split here, I think. A lot of reverse line movement. Colts getting no love, yet the line's going their way. That's definitely a cause for concern if you like the Bengals.
Yeah, well, what do you get out of Andrew Luck? What do you get out of Marlon Mack? That's going to take a bigger, step forward in his, being featured as a running back. But that one is another interesting one. I mean, that's what I love about Week 1 NFL, man. A lot of question marks. Try to sift through the information and get what you get. It is 10:59 Eastern Time. We are at a time here on the right side of campus. Thanks for joining us in here today. And I will be on a little bit later at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Audible. We'll review the entire card for NFL Sunday. Have a lot of fun doing that here on the channels here. Big man, got anything going on the channels here for the rest of the day?
I do not. For me, I have my cleaning lady coming, Donnie. It's a great day to be alive when she comes. Always like a spick and span home. Listen, guys, it doesn't take anything to be clean. Go out and get your house cleaned. You'll feel a lot better about your life. And I'm not saying go clean yourself. Men cannot clean. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. Most men, I can. I choose to pay someone $75 and she does it, and she makes it great and it looks great. So go out, get your house clean. You'll feel a lot better about your life. It's going to be 60 degrees, Donnie, this weekend in our area. How great is that?
It's fantastic, and I can't wait for it. Hoodie weather is what I live for. Hoodie weather, Jeff. Great to walk the dog with a cigar and a hoodie on there. I can't wait for it. But we are out of time here, so enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'll be back on at 4. The big man's off for the rest of the day. Study up this weekend, folks. Huge card Saturday and Sunday. Let's get some winners out there for you. For Donnie and Jeff on the right side of campus, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.